So, hello everyone, Modern here, of course, time for Omega Striker tier list. I played the game a lot this last week, and I freaking love it, man. It's like anime, disc golf, frisbee golf or something, right? We have Mereoleona, of course. I mean, I'm not biased, okay? Ash is the best character. It's Mereoleona with an eye patch. I mean, seriously, the art direction of this game, man, there must be Black Clover fans, because literally Asher is Mereoleona. I cannot not see it. This is not just a copy of Mereoleona. But anyway, she's clearly S tier because she's the wife. This is a waifu list now. All jokes aside though, Ash is a very good character. Let's discuss it, right? And for watching this here, let me point out, right, before I made this video, I made another video like an hour ago. And that video, I focused on explaining positionings, right? You know, oh, this character is a good midfielder. This character is a good back, right? So in this video here, I won't really care about it too much, but you might hear me refer to, oh, this cat, he's very good in mid, right? I don't mean mid as in a bad mid, I mean mid as in midfielder, right? Mid positioning. So it might be useful, right, to look at the video first. I recommend it anyway, because that video, generally speaking, similar to some of my Fire Emblem videos, it kind of focus in on strategy, right? I'm trying to give you a little bit of my opinion of, okay, how do I construct a team? And also, like, if I am playing this game, and I want to rank up, right? My two allies have picked X and Asher. So I pick who? I pick Rasmus, because he's the synergy, right? So that video is more like about the synergies and like team, you know, positioning, like who should I be, am I back, am I forward, am I goalie? It's more about that, right? But I made the video first, but I think it's more interesting actually on thinking about how should I pick my characters on. But all that being said, right, the characters are not equally good. Far from it. So let's discuss it here, right? You know, what characters are good, what are bad, and you know, we see maybe get updated, maybe patched, maybe on a video about new characters coming, right? But anyway, let's start talking about top tier characters then. Who are bad, who is terrible, and who should you pick? Yes, be here, right? Let's start with one of my main characters, so to speak. The character I main, which is X. Okay, baby. X is S tier. So X is probably the best character in the game. And like I said in my whatever Fire Emblem tier list or you know game, it doesn't matter tier list in my life, right? I like to go with talking about the best character and the worst character, right? So let's start with X. That to me makes sense. If I think he's the best character, I think that's probably the most valuable thing you get from tier list, right? It's like who is the best character, right? And also who's the worst character. So let's start with X. X is the best, more or less, to knock out people, right? It is true, I think that Asher is better sometimes. Depends who you face. But generally speaking, X has just the best way to. He can do this like lariat spin, right? Kicks them out of the field. His ultimate is basically he just gets like, you know, he can punch people. But that ultimate is very, very good because what it does is that you can strike the actual, you know, ball, the puck, they call it, the puck, yeah, on the same time as you hit the enemy in a very like easy way. So you can like lock the enemy goalie down, right? But you basically you stun them, of course, very shortly. But you can stun them very shortly, push it in, right? It's a lot of combos there you can kind of use. And he's very straightforward too. So X is both, I would argue then, best character in the game. And honestly, also arguably the easiest player, the easiest person to be. So he's both the best character and the easiest character. And usually, you know, in a lot of video games, the easiest character is almost always the worst character. Not all worst, but yeah, the easiest character is usually the something like that, right? Because you know, as myself, right, I've worked in a couple of games in my life, and you know, as a game designer, as a system designer, or whatever you call it, you often think like we can't make the easiest character the best character, so then everyone's gonna play it, right? You know, and everyone's gonna be able to skill cap or whatever. So it definitely is like a certain decision making to be like, no, we're gonna make the. Usually, you think that the harder character should be better, right? If it's more rewarding and so on. But it's also a balance thing, because if the easiest character to play is also the best character to play, then this character is gonna be, you know, played tremendously a lot, right? And for example, what I see, but I'm pretty high ranked in the game. I'm not gonna say to the lie that I'm the highest ranked in the world, but I'm pretty high up there, honestly. But anyway, when I play the game, you know, right, it's X gets banned almost every game. Yeah, he's probably the character that gets banned the most. Him, Juno has been a lot too, and I see, and Zentoro the Ninja. These 3 characters, I think, where I am in my rank, are banned all the time. Yeah, so X is banned like at least half the games I play though. And basically every time I get to play him, right, I play him. Yeah, you know what I mean? If they don't ban him, I'm gonna pick him, right, basically. So that's how good he is, right? But I think what I said too is very valuable to think about, right? The reason isn't only that he's very good, it's also he's easy to play. He's very easy to play, and I mean it right sincerely. I think he's the easiest character and the best character. So of course people are gonna ban him, because if you get up to like silver and even probably like high bronze there in the game, but like, you know, silver and up and so on, at that level, right, at silver, people can't play the game pretty good. So most people you face are pretty good players, right? So you're gonna assume that they all gonna be able to play X at top level because he's a simple character, right? So basically everyone bans him, and that also speaks a lot of volume again, right? That the character probably is imbalancedly good, right? If everyone bans him all the time, he probably is the best character, right? Like, he's like an actual, you know, just sample size of players. Everyone seems to really hate facing this character. But again, from a mechanical standpoint, I always find it hard to even explain why, because he's just such a simple character. Basically, he's the only character that can strike you with his normal attack, right? Which is of course ultimate. And that's just very, very straightforward, very simple, and you can hit every enemy at the same time, you can combo up that. His lariat spin is just very good at hitting everyone, and he kind of makes a lot of, you know, just annoying the enemies and hits them out. His bull rush is just like a dash attack, so several characters has that thing. That's nothing really special, but you know, he's just a very reliable character. He's reliable, he's very simplistic, right? There are other characters that are also good at knocking people out, but he's the one that has the most streamlined, it kind of works. And lastly, I guess, when you play him, you have 2 different like striker specs, right? You either kind of picks up a lot of agility, so you're quite fast and nimble, so you can pass the ball forward, you can pass the fix someone, right? Or you just make him really heavy and you go up and just annoy them, right? Yeah. So I always feel like some characters, they tend, I think, comment later, but they tend to be quite weak if you don't get the correct perks, right? You have to combine all these different sparks and get the correct build, so to speak. But I feel with X, you almost always get a good build with him, because he has like 2 really good builds, right? So it's easy to build either one of them. But okay, that's X then, and he's the best character basically. But it is definitely the easiest character, which gives a lot of value to it, right? Another good character is Asher then, the waifu. Waifu points! Muscle waifu. And this is the character I play the most, right? So this is the character I know the most. So I'm just very biased here, because X is the character I play the second most. Obviously I play muscle waifus, you know. Muscle angry fighter waifus, of course. There's a whole reason I'm playing the game, right? I said in another video, I watched the opening, and then I was like, oh, I gotta play this game, and it's Mereoleona, right? So, but she's a very good character. I'm also saying that just because I love her. I say that because she's a good character. No, but seriously, so Asher, whereas I like to call her Mereoleona with an eye patch, her ability, her ultimate, path splitter, I talked about more in the video too, her ability is basically the best ability in the game. That's basically it, yeah. Like her ultimate, I wouldn't even think her rest of her kit is that powerful. I don't think her primary, secondary, whatever, they're not very good actually. I mean, they're not bad, but they're kind of whatever. But her ultimate is so powerful, right? So she also has one of these like dash attacks, right? Which is kind of like whatever. She's like cone attack around her, also kind of like whatever. But sure, you can knock them off with that. I mean, it's kind of, but her Pathfinder or whatever, Path Splitter summons her shields right in front of her and makes this kind of attack, right, that flies forward. And this is the best ability in the game, because it is the best ability to knock people out, right? So she's an amazing, and this is very key with my old video, forward, right? I see a lot of people play her in Goalie. That's terrible, okay? She's not the best or worst Goalie, but she definitely is a much better forward, okay? Because her ultimate attack then, right, basically always kills someone. Yeah, it's an incredibly hard hitting ability, because it pushes them several times, right? It forces the opponent out of the stage. Kind of like a sumo that pushes you out, right? So she basically, she's a master of ring outs, right? And I think she really is S tier, because if there's one character I want to pick, right, to knock out the goalie, specifically the goalie, it's Asher. X is very good, again, at knocking people out. It's very simple. But X is better at knocking out their force in the middle, you know, running around, yeah. Sometimes a goal as well. Certainly with X you can get like a triple kill or whatever. But with Asher it's more like, I will kill the goalie. And then no one can defend anymore, yeah. So I usually use her ability either, right, to knock out one of their forwards in the correct timing, which is very easy. But many times you can push the goalie out, or make the goalie get stuck, right, on your ultimate for like a few seconds. And it basically is like stunning them, right, for like 5 seconds. And that's enough to make a goal. So she's carried heavily by her ultimate, because the rest of her kit isn't very special, right? Like I said, her like cone attack is worse than X spin and so on, right? Her dash is basically the same thing and so on. So they're very similar, honestly. They're also a very similar character. They're probably the most two similar characters. And they also then fulfill the same role, you know, power forward. They're very much aggressive, gonna kick you out, right? But they do, yeah, her ability is so powerful. It's just like, I think, I'm gonna say it several times, but yeah, her ability is the best ability in the game, I think. And that just carries her so hard, right? But I still think, honestly, that X is probably slightly better, because her ability is kind of like, if you miss with the ability, which of course you will do, because even if you're a good player, right? The other players, everyone knows to fear her ultimate, so they're gonna dash and teleport in, but they're gonna try to avoid it, right? And sometimes you miss, but they also get a goal because they avoid it, so they have to get goals. But still, you know, you might miss sometimes. You know, even the best player are gonna miss because, you know, they are very, very wary of her ability. With X instead, it's kind of like you just brawl and X is so good because you can just activate the ability and punch them. It's just like, it's very hard to avoid X, right? You basically always get value out of his abilities, almost always, unless they all lock you down. But you know, then you still win because your opponent can't all be on you, right? So anyways, another two S tier characters in the beginning here. I think that they are by far the best offensive characters, right? And again, that's what Ash is a much better power forward than Goalie, because he's incredibly good at defeating opponents. Anyway, let's take to some terrible character fun. Rasmus, he's trash, man. Trash character. So Rasmus, he is super trash, okay? And he's like my favorite character to play after the waifus. I really like playing Rasmus. I mean genuinely. I see myself as a very good play, Rasmus, right? He reminds me of... you know, I play Axel Low, right? I'm on the best player in the world, Axel Low. I will say that. No, but I'm a very, very good Axel Low player in Guilty Gear. I also play other, you know, Shane guys. So, of course, he was the second guy I bought, right? After Asher. I was like, oh, I need to play, you know, the Shane guy, right? But he's shit. He's just terrible. So I played him probably for at least over 10 hours now, seriously, Rasmus, and I hate it. No, but he's really underpowered, right? He's really underpowered. His ultimate's pretty terrible. His mid-tech pretty terrible. His dash pretty terrible. Like, everything with him just kind of feels just pretty shitty. Yeah, like everything. I genuinely think that every ability he has should basically be buffed. That's how bad he is. But anyway, let me put out. I'm not saying that because I lose with him. I usually win when I play him. So I'm not saying that, no. Because, no, I usually win when I play him. But he's just like terrible, right? I usually play him well. I just think it's fun to play him, but he's not a good character. So the reason why then is, let's talk about his ultimate, right? His ultimate is very unique, and one way I love it, because if I don't get a pass, right, you can pass myself. I can pass myself with it. I don't need allies. I pass, right? His ultimate pulls people in, or the ball, right, to him, right? And a lot of people call, well, I'll call it ball, call it puck, whatever. I would call it ball, right? It pulls the ball into you, right? Which is a really cool ability, and basically... the way I use it, right, is that I usually throw it to our goal, right? While I'm standing at their goal, or usually not at my goal. It depends on the stage. Usually I'm standing, right, in the middle, you know, somewhere in the middle, right? The actual middle. I throw it to my goal, so I can save their shot at my goal, right? And then pass myself to the middle somewhere, and then I can hit the ball again, right? And change its direction, either up or down, right? Depending on where the goaler is running, right? And sometimes I fake, right, and they can run up and it goes straight, right. So it is a very tricky ultimate to use, and it is a powerful ultimate sometimes, but some other times his ultimate is utter useless, right. And that sounds like, yeah, because you're bad. No, not because you're bad, but because his ultimate is almost only useful in defense, yeah, in a weird way, right. Because if you're running towards the ball, right, the ball's in their goal, and I'm gonna approach the ball, right, running, I'm dashing up, right, and let's say Estelle, my ally, is like punching them, right, and trying to get the ball in. He can pass back to me, right, and I can hit the ball into the goal, perhaps. But the issue is, if I play any other character, basically, right, their ultimate is gonna be more offensively forward, right, more or less, right. If, for example, I play Dugo and throw his like food out, that's gonna block the ball, so X can hit it in, right. If I play Asher, I can throw her again, her Pat's thing, that's gonna push the ball forward, right? If I play, if I play Juliette, I can do her like punching thing, right? And so on, right? If I play Rune, I can do his bandage thing and so on, right? All these abilities are usually, they're forward going, right? And they can also be used in defense. For example, the food thing, the Pat thing and so on, they can also block defense, right? But here the ultimate he has done is useless, because if you throw it against the enemy, at best case, right, you can pull one of the enemies away from the goal. So it's not entirely useless. Maybe you can hit the goalie and force him back, right? That might be useful. But most of the time, you're gonna have positioning where if you throw the tsundere at the enemies and at your ally as a midfield player, you will hit the ball and pass yourself backwards, which maybe is useful in a very specific scenarios, so that you can hit the ball and then do a goal, right? So it might be useful, but most of the time you can hit one of the enemies instead, and you pull them slightly backwards, and then nothing really happens, right? Because they can still defend the goal. That happens like 9 or 10 times. So his ultimate is very, very hard, and not because, again, a skill thing. It's not a skill thing, it's just because he doesn't do much forward, right? Yeah. So you have an ultimate that is almost only useful when the ball is behind you and you want to pass the ball forward, right? And that actually is pretty good ultimate, but it's very, very hard to use it aggressively, right? Where again, then, these like tanky characters, they can use their ultimate to defend their goal or push the ball forward, or keep the ball, whatever, right? So he got a really weird ultimate, and it's almost arguably, if his ultimate worked like other, constructions, right, they would push the ball forward, right, when it's useful. So if his ability was smarter, like if it was AI, right, and the AI is like, well, if the ball is hitting my ultimate and the ball is closer, and I am closer to the enemy goal, pass me, but if the ball is closer to their goal, not me, shoot. So I mean, basically, if I throw it, if I throw it at the ball when the ball is close to their goal, and then it hit it, that would be something like that. Yeah, if I could if the ball would like fly, depending on, and honestly, code-wise, that is the implement, right? And that I see it's a good buff for him. Honestly, it might sound stupid, but it would be much better. Yeah, if his ultimate, if you're like past the midfield or whatever, or just because where you are in the goal is. If it doesn't change behavior, so you will actually attack the opponent instead of just, yeah, that would be much more useful. So that's a big issue with him, right? Ultimate is 50% of the time terrible, yeah, really useless. It makes it worse, basically, if you throw it out there. But even passing yourself in that situation, usually you can't score anyway, because you're gonna drop like a shield or something, or you're gonna drop like a rune thing or whatever, in your path, so it won't usually work anyway. Not against good play, at least. It's pretty terrible. And then his dash is like, whatever, he runs faster like Kai or whatever, it's pretty the same thing. It's just a speech thing, it's okay. And his attack is like pretty okay, but it's not really special either. Nah, it's like whip thing, right? It does like somewhat damage if you hit them in the edge, but it's not like a very good ability either. It would be interesting if that whip thing would take the ball to you instead, pushing it away, depending on where you hit it something. Honestly, I feel he's not a very good designed character, because, yeah, his whip ability, the first whip ability, could also maybe have different effects on the ball, depending on if you hit it in front or back at the whip and so on. He could definitely be even more complicated, but that's probably what he should be, actually. But whatever. So he's a disappointing character to me. Yeah. The next character, he's probably like low Drek'kar, whatever. He's a Warcraft troll, yeah. He's probably like trash tier or C tier, but I feel Rasmus is usually the shit at the worst character in the game, so he might go to the trash later. But he's a pretty bad character, I feel. Yeah, I just don't see a use for him. I mean, he's a unique character. I give him this thing. He's the only character with stealth, right, in the whole game. And certainly the game is going to do some more stealth characters, obviously, right? The more heroes can come, like in most games. He's not a very good character. He feels like an anti-noob character, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm stealthing, what is happening? Oh, he attacked me. But for example, I play X, right, I mentioned. X is the character I play the most after Asher, right? And a good example is when Drek'kar goes stealth mode, right, to try to attack me and my allies, I just do the lariat spin and I will punch them anyway, you know what I mean? I still a spin thing, basically, right? That's kind of why I think I'm just gonna attack anyway, yeah, like, it doesn't really matter so much. He is only good against certain characters, like this kind of like squishy cannon long range character like Aimi or Estelle or something. Yeah, I feel it's only useful is to like try to assassinate squishy characters more or less. However, a problem with Drek'kar is that he himself doesn't do very high damage, so you need to kind of push them out if they're low health or whatever, which means that you basically need another character first, right? Rasmus says 72, I think. So you need basically like if you have X on your team and he's pushing them down, right, with the health points, and then you go stealth and then you finish them off. That's probably where I feel he's more useful. Yeah, you need like a power forward to first hurt them and then you can finish them. That being said, sometimes, rarely, but I face some like gold up, maybe even higher up people that play Drek'kar. He's not a very common character to face either for the matter. But you know, but basically like a gold Drek'kar. What they do is that they're pretty good at just like immediately stealthing and then trying to punish you when you go for the ball. Then he's gonna wait for you and just kind of insta kill you for full health. And it's not very useful. But on the stage with the circle, Aimi stage, right, with the hole in the middle, then there is dangerous. Yeah, that is hard to approach them. Rasmus, same thing though. His switch is very good at pulling people into the hole in the middle of that stage. So they're both. This is kind of a good point though. These are both characters that are heavily better at that stage, right? And that stage, generally speaking, is a better knockout stage, yeah. But I think that we're gonna see, right, the game having more and more stages. Certain characters are definitely gonna be way better at some. Both these guys are much better at Aimi's stage with the hole in the middle. Much better. Yeah, either ultimate or his stealth are much better, and some more of them much worse. So, but again, my point of course is that yeah, they're both low tier because right, like X is good on every stage, right? X is good on every stage, and it is also good on the whole stage because you can easily push them out, right? So there is no like, you know, comparison really. It's just got worse X. So yeah, Drek'kar probably the secondary worst character. He might even be worse than Rasmus, arguably, depending on your team, of course, right? I mean, obviously this whole list, right? Depending on your allies, you know what I mean. So he's a pretty bad character. Anyway, next character. Another character I find is pretty bad is Rune. He maybe is not the same level as Drek'kar though, so yeah, maybe I should have one other tier list here. Maybe it's trash. I started with B tier there first then. Rune, as I call him. Rune isn't very good either. I think Rune is just like these two guys are also stage good, right? If you're goalie with him, I think it's terrible in offense. So if you have goalie Rune, and you can like defend your goal with just like his sphere things, right? You can block it. He can be a really good goalie, but there has to be one of those stages where you have the smaller goal hit to point, right? So he's also a character where I feel like I have played as a goalie then several times, and as long as they're the correct stage, he's a very good goalie. But of course, that means he can't be that high tier, because if you change stage, he suddenly is pretty shit, right? So that's a bad thing. His offense is pretty terrible, like he's not very good at attacking at all. His ultimate is pretty shit too, for that matter. It's not Rasmus shit, but it's pretty shit. Yeah, because, you know, he sends his wave out, right, and it's banish people. And banishing their goalie is really useful, that's about it. When you're defending with him and you're banishing, not very useful, almost never. The goalie, that's used for it, but, you know, the problem is that the goalie is very often standing next to the ball, right? And you know what I mean, Rune players, and I do it too, honestly. I mean, you very often do you banish like the goalie and the ball, right? And that doesn't do anything then. So, because obviously the goals with cloud ball, and I don't know, he's also pretty terrible. His first teleport is like randomized where you start it, so it's not a bit terrible thing, yeah. I don't know, I kind of motivate myself to put him worse down here. He's not a very good character. I feel it's also very stage dependent. Yeah, his ability to create spheres are only good on certain, or only, but they're much better. Yeah, they're much better on certain stages, right? Which is like obviously a massive limitation to our character, right? Fat Naruto, guys, okay? Let's talk about Dubo And also I call him Fat Naruto. I won't go back on that, okay? He's Naruto if she was really fat. Yeah, Fat Naruto. I put him in B tier. I don't think he's like that good. He's very popular, especially on lower tier. I think that he's an interesting character from a tier standpoint. Kind of like X, right? So you see him very frequently used, I felt, when I was ranking up in the game, right? And but I haven't played the game until the last week, right? You know, and when I saw the opening, right, and I was like, oh my god, I love Mereoleona, you know what I mean? So I don't know how it was in the past, but he feels like a character. Do you see him in almost every game in the beginning, right? Like in bronze or whatever, and then you get like silver, and then you almost never see him anymore. So he feels like a character that's very like noob friendly, but I think that he is pretty straightforward, right? Again, similar to X, you drop your stuff, right? You drop either the food thing in the way, or you drop his well, it throws like a log, I don't know, stock, I don't know, it throws the freaking tree thing, right? It's like two different blocks, right? And it does something because it blocks the path, right, for stuff, and it also auto aims, right? The log auto aims for you. So it's a pretty good guy. What I personally really dislike with him as a goalkeeper, though, is that he's so slow, right? You know, so if you don't have the right positioning, you have to run to the path. You can basically never stop a shot, right? If you're in the wrong positioning, you can of course roll right with the cooldown, but basically that's hard to hit though. So almost every time I feel when he's like against 2 against 1 kind of positioning, which of course for any goal is hard, but you know he's pretty screwed then. Yeah, it's very hard for him to block that if he has cooldowns, right? Where for other characters, they can run faster, they can get up there, they can try some aggressive stuff, right? So it's kind of like that. And also an issue with him is that he can only basically play defense, right? And I don't value that too much here in this list, honestly, right? I don't value it overly much, because then, for example, X would be much lower, but X is terrible in defense, right? X is insanely bad as a goalie. So I don't value that too much, but I mean, if you're playing X, right, and I come back to him, I guess, but X is like the best, again, power forward in the game. He's the best guy in the front, right? And Fat Naruto is not the best defender, right? And nor is he the best attacker. I think that then it feels more bigger, right? Because other characters, that we come to later, like midfielders, right? They might not be the best attacker, and they're not the best defender either, but they can kind of do both, you know what I mean? And that's why they can still be much better than him, because if you play them as a mid, right, so you're playing them defensively until you have a positioning where you can be offensive, right, that's much more useful. Where I feel that Fat Naruto is like, oh, I'm playing him defensively, and then I have to play, or I have to be offensively, but when I should be offensive, I can't, right? You can't really attack with him. I'm being a little bit, of course, harsh, but you can drop the sit in the front and so on, but it's not very useful. So he kind of is like I think a B tier is I think pretty fair. And let's take another tank then. Aimi, yeah. Well, a tank girl. No, but the cat girl, man, she's good, okay? Maybe even S tier. I feel so for her in A tier to begin with here. So she is a really good goalie, right? I see her as a goalie. I don't see her as a forward. I talked about in all the video at length, right? I don't think she really works as a in front forward. I mean, first and foremost, she's really terrible in the front, right? You can't play her in this like a very aggressive forward. So if you're gonna play as a forward, you have to actually play as a back. You know what I mean? As I keep saying, he's a mid, but not even a mid. He's more like a back. You know, he's more like a back goalie, right? So you want to play her very, very far in the back, right? If you play her as a forward, so to speak. But she has an incredibly good range, right? She can throw her primary and it flies half the screen easily. You take one of the different sparks that gives you further range, right? Now you can basically shoot the whole stage, right? So when you have one of her upgrades, you can basically throw the ball the whole stage. Same thing with her like cat summoning, with her cat. I don't know what it's called, okay? I've played the game a lot for the last week now, but I don't know what the freaking is called. Her like cat summoning thing, it's a little bit. You know what I'm talking about. She just did it. The cat thing is a very, very good ability, generally speaking. It's also probably one of the better knockout abilities, honestly. Yeah, it is also probably one of the best abilities in the game to knock out people with. It's not on the Asher level, but it's definitely up there. And a combo though, Asher and Aimi, and they both do that shit, you basically get that guaranteed, yeah. It's very good knocking out people, yes, speaking. But rather so, right? she's a very powerful character because she can stand in her goal and basically kill someone. Yeah, it's like, I summoned my cat, and it's like, you know what I mean? And you can throw the ball and so on, yeah. And of course, you can either play her with further range or the classic teleport in and out, right? The eject button, so you can like teleport out and then teleport back again, right? And usually what I do is that I will punch the ball out, right? And I will jump after the ball with the hit in, you can pick back again and so on. Quite effective. But she's a much better goalie than Fat Naruto, because she can play very aggressively if she has to, right? And she can always like throw shit at the enemy, right? Even if she's standing in the goal. And for example, I had a comment on the video, who has the video here, that they said that Kai is the best goalie. I definitely disagree, because Kai can't help his team from his goal. Yeah, he can run over there and start throwing stuff to some extent, but it's kind of hard, right? Where Aimi can literally stay at the goal and still attack the opponent, right? And depending on the stage, right, if you have one of those more closer goals, so standing on one of the objects, right, you can defend it very easily by you standing there and being ready for any kind of weird shenanigans, right? And still throw stuff at them, right? Which is a really, really good. Where Kai can't do that. He has to run away from his goal, right? He has a mid-range, right? So Kai is a character, is a midfielder. He can't really do that in the goal. So she's probably even S tier, honestly. I talk myself up to it. Another character is Luna. She's basically the same thing, right? I don't feel I need to say too much more, honestly, because she's basically just everything I said with Aimi is more or less true here, right? You know, you can stand in the goal and you can throw it. You can like her ultimate, this big bomb, right? It does the exact same thing. You can stand in your goal and you can like summon this explosion, right, at the enemies. And Luna is arguably the best goal in the game, because it's kind of like I can stand, you know, and defend my positioning, but I can still score at you, and I can still throw it at you. And if you're playing, for example, like I play X and Asher opposite a lot, right? And if I have a goal as Luna, that is really good, because she can support me with her bomb, right? And I can punch them and I can get a goal in or whatever, right? Where if I have then Fat Naruto, he can do nothing for me, right? When I'm standing in the offense, right? So of course, it is true that Fat Naruto, he can easier defend the goal when they attack him, right? But if you actually want to score, and it's, I guess you can see where I'm coming from here, but I think that most of the goalies that can actually both attack and defend at the same time are much more effective, because they can of course help you defend, and also then help you attack, right? Help you score, help you finish a little bit extra, right? Just like stunning the opponent with your bomb, right, for a brief second can help your attacker score, right? So that's something that the fat guy can't do, and that's for example where Rune, as I put it right, Rune is a decent goalie, right? But he's very bad at helping out attacking, just like fat guy, right? But he's also even worse at defending, so I don't really know where he... But I think that Rune is like either decent goalie, I said, or, you know, somewhat of a middle, right? No, but Luna is much better, and honestly, I have a hard time saying who's the best of Luna or Aimi. They do feel they're very similar, I think. Very, very similar. They almost feel the exact same role, right? They basically are. I mean, in my other video, I thought about this more in detail, right? This kind of thing, but they basically have the same positioning. I call them like long-range artillery, you know, long-range goalie, yeah. Artillery goalie, whatever you call them. Right? They both fill that role in. I think it more so depends on who you're facing at. I think it's more depending on like who is my opponent, right? Because sometimes Luna is better, the bomb is better against these guys, and this laser is better against these guys. So if it's more like a goalie, the best one is probably based on like, you know, who is the opponent team or so, because they really are similar. They basically do the exact same thing, but it's not true that they're exact same. No, they're different. I mean, of course, her ability is like a big bomb. Her ability is a straight laser thing, right? But you get my point. They basically fill the exact same role. You're standing in the goal, and then you're throwing stuff at your opponent. You know what I mean? That's kind of what you do, right? Yeah, you kind of fulfill your role by like standing over there, and they can both kind of dash in and dash out again and so on from the goal. Yeah. Maybe Luna is slightly better, because her like rocket thing where she flies forward and kind of very, very quickly flies to the goal is a better way to score. So yeah, I feel I give Luna a slight advantage here. Her like a dash attack, right? It can go the whole screen, basically the whole map, right? Hit the ball in, so that's probably slightly better. But you know, they're roughly the same. They're very, very similar. I feel they almost have the exact same role, right? Yeah. Which is better than the other goalies, I guess. Let's talk about Kai then. I think Kai is very overrated. I don't think he's overrated, but I don't understand why people think he's the best goalie. He's kind of like, you know, I do something, yeah. He's a very mid-tier guy. I feel he's the perfect B-tier character because he is not the fastest character, right? He doesn't have the best range. He's obviously kind of very, I keep saying it, but he's very mid, you know? He's the B-tier of B-tiers, yeah. Not the fastest, not the longest range, not the strongest, right? But he kind of is like all around, you know? He's very much like, he's a little bit of everything, right? The problem with Kai is that, as I just talked about, right? You see him most as a goalie, I would say. Not so often as a forward, not as a goalie. But why would you play Kai as a goalie? But you could play Rune or Aimi, like I said over, right? You can throw the whole screen, right? Yeah. With Kai, you have to run over half the stage to attack them, right? So he can't really help out as an attacker. It's not entirely true. Of course, you can run up and shoot at them with him and so on. You can do that. But you have to get pretty close. Right? You have to usually cross half the screen, right? Half the mid part, I mean, half the feed, half the midfield, right? To be able to support the team with him. And that opens your goal up, right? For vulnerability. So usually, I think a good Kai player, they play aggressively with him, right? Until you lose your, what's called the opponents to do defensive things. And then they play more, you know, defensively, right? Because they have an open goal. But that shows you his weakness, right? Because if you play Aimi and Luna, you can always just be aggressive and crazy and still defend, right? So that's just better. And I don't think he's necessarily even better at attacking because his ultimate is pretty shit. Yeah, his ultimate is one beam attack, not very good. It's not as good as the Luna bomb or as Amy's laser thing, right? They both do a much better job at like disrupting the opponent, or both of them much better for kills, right? So I just don't see it. He's kind of like, he's pretty good at everything, but he's not good at anything, right? He's not the master at anything. And of course, an all-round character can be a good character, right? But I also feel he's good enough in anything to really stand out, right? If he was like twice as fast or something, right? You know, then I was okay, you can run up there, so that would obviously be broken. But get my point. He is much faster. I don't know. That being said, I have played him a lot too. If the first character when you start playing the game, he's the character I used to play then until I unlocked Asher. So I played him, you know, for like maybe 10 hours. I don't know. I played him a lot in the beginning. But I just felt that the other character kind of do what he does better. That's a good segue into the waifu, right? That he kind of looks at, you know, kind of the female version of Kai, Estelle. She feels like just Kai, right? Just better, honestly. I think that she basically does everything he does, but it's just the better. They're very, very similar. They're both a midfield character, right? With like medium range. Pretty fast character, you know what I mean? They can't really construct like defenses, right? None of them can like build, you know, a fort or whatever, right? So they're not like Fat Naruto. They can't construct, you know, like a fort or something. So they can't do that. None of them can throw bombs the whole screen, right? Like Luna and so on. None of them can, you know, punch or whatever. Yeah. So they're kind of they're very similar. They're really, really similar. I feel they're very, very similar, right? Kind of like if X and Asher is like the male-female version of the brawler, these two are like the, I don't know, male-female, I don't know, mid-range shooter guy right there. But she's just better. She got better. The knife spread thing, it covers way more defensively, so it's much better to protect your goal, right? It's much better to just kind of poke from the mid-range. Her teleport, instead of the dash, is much, much better because it auto-attacks on the ball, right? And that is way more useful for a goaler because the whole running pretty fast, I mean, it's okay, but if you're Rasmus, I think I can run pretty fast. I mean, it's not very useful compared to the teleport defense, right? The teleport defense is it's almost like guaranteed save, right? Because usually, if you're playing on, I don't know, high level, but you know, like medium to high level, whatever, right? when you get to a certain skill cap, right, everyone is pretty good, you know what I mean? So the goalkeeper you have in your team, you're pretty good, right, you know? So if they play Kai as a pretty good goalkeeper, they kind of know how to run and stand and so on, right? So they're not usually gonna lose on like a fast ball, you know what I mean? They're gonna be in the right place usually to defend against like an off shot or something like that. Where they don't defend, right, is when everything can happen, right? Where it's like two guys at them, it's like Juliette and Ash, and they punch them in the face, and you know what I mean? It's like bam, 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 and it's crazy, and someone is smashing. You know what I mean? When the game goes ape shit, right? You know, everything happens at the time. Those are the moments where the goalie usually fails, right? Not because of a skill level, but in those moments usually where if your character, like Fat Naruto, can throw out his ball things, right, his food things, that usually saves the goal, because this is when I kind of need an ultimate to sort of clear the field, right? Asher, I throw my path thing, it clears the field, right? But so if you're playing these like midfielder goals, right? Like Kai and Estelle, they can't really like push out an object, right, to defend themselves. Then the teleport would be much better, because the teleport kind of auto defense for you, right? And also her knife spread shot kind of thing, her laser, I call it the knife spread. It reminds me of kunai spread, whatever. So it kind of spread thing. It also defends better, right? So she's a better defender than Kai. I would say so, much better. And then she also fulfills the same role, which she can shoot from the midfield, right? Kind of roughly the half of the field, and pocket the ball, either pass with that, or you know, trick shot into the goal, right? So she's just she for me is like a clearly a better version of Kai, right? She also got boobs, which is an advantage. But even without the titties, I think she's even without being a waifu, she's a better character. There's a lot of waifus every game, man. Almost the female characters. No, but just she to me is straight up better version than he is. Yeah, maybe every game developer only makes the female character strong. I don't know why. Yeah. It's just a game developer thing, you know. You inherently you're gonna buff the females, yeah. Anyway, let's take a strong male then. Atlas is very strong. He's probably even S tier, maybe A tier. He's very powerful. He's probably the best goalie, like a straight up goalie, right? So actually, I can even fit it S tier, honestly. So Atlas, you know, the guy that carries the Earth, the planet, right? Atlas is just, he's just like a really good goalie. I think that's I know it sounds silly that he's a good goalie, but you know what I mean? Like, if you have to pick a goalie that I'm just gonna stand and defend my goal, I'm not gonna be very aggressive, I'm just gonna like defend, right? Then he's the best defender, yeah. He's the guy that can stand there, and he got this, I was called the sphere shield, right? And he got, of course, the actual shield out. So he got two abilities that construct something, right, that protects the goal. And it's very, very hard to score on a good Atlas. He's usually the most troublesome defender. So that is really annoying with him. And then he got this ability, right, to rescue people. And because people like X and so on is a very highly picked, right, he's a counter to X and so on. Right? He counters the knockout guys because he's... again, I don't know the names. I admit it. I don't know the names of their ability. The only one I know is like Path. I don't know. Honestly haven't cared to learn the names of the abilities. But his green, his ultimate, his green ability, it saves people from dying. And that is very powerful as well, right? So he's a very good sporty guy. He got really, really good defenses. Again, probably the best defensive tank. And he's like, you know, to me, right, that's how I mentioned earlier, Fat Naruto, Dogu, like you see him a lot, right, on the lower tier. Because he's a free character too, right? He's a starting character. You see him a lot. But when you get higher up in the ranks, you basically only see Atlas dead. Yeah. And they're very, very similar, right? They have almost the exact same positioning, more or less, right? From a standpoint, that's that one. But he's just much better. Yeah. I don't see a reason why I would ever pick Fat Naruto over Atlas, basically. If I had to pick a goalie that I'm going to defend with, you know. I'm going to stand in the base and defend, yeah. He's just much better. His shields are better, the cooldown, the ratio of them, the size of them. It's just way more useful. And he's, you know, again, then to be able to save your allies is much more useful, right? That can help your guys in the offense, where the fat guy can't really help anyone in, you know, when they're attacking, right? So all that's better. And all that being said too, Atlas is also a pretty good attacker as well, right? You rarely see that, you rarely see Atlas as a forward, but it's pretty good. But he's really annoying because he's pushing shielding actually will kill you, right? He's like a tiny Asher, right? It's not as good as Asher's ability, but it's similar to Asher, and obviously the cooldown is different because of the ultimate, so he can actually push out people pretty good as well. I wouldn't say he's the best forward, but he actually isn't that bad of a forward. And the best goal is right. They're very defensive with Atlas, but then sometimes, you know what I mean, when it's kind of like commissioning in the mid, they can kill someone. They go out and they're like, boop, you know what I mean? So that's very, very powerful. Yeah, he's very good at that. So he's probably the best tank in the game. Again, then, like a, you know, real tanking. And I probably would put him actually over here because he's the guy, I feel. If you want to use, like, I will defend this point. You know what I mean? That being said, just like Rune mentioned earlier, right? Some of the stages are much better for him, right? You know, if you have the smaller places to defend, right, he's much better. So he's also a little bit stage dependent, because if there's a bigger area to defend, right, then he's weaker, definitely. And then you might actually prefer like a faster, like Kai or someone. That is true though, yeah. If you have the biggest stages with the most open areas and the biggest goal and the biggest thing to defend and so on, right? Yeah, then he definitely is much weaker, and you might actually want to play with a faster tank, so run around out more, right? But still, even with that, it's hard to even get to that stage where you have an open goal, right? Okay, let's talk about Ninja Boy. Yeah, Zentoro, whatever his name is. He's a really good character, actually, I think. He's probably the weirdest character to judge. I can feel he's S tier or A tier. He's definitely better than these characters. He's much better than Rasmus. And he's almost always banned too, yeah. He's banned so often. I mean, I have him, of course, and I play him a lot then. And I feel, like I mentioned earlier, if X is banned, if X isn't banned, I play X. And this is like the second team that I play. He is very, very powerful. And I think he's probably is... I think I probably put him like here somewhere, you know, maybe even here. Honestly, Zentoro is an S tier. You can see how the game is like very balanced. Everyone S set a few guys. The thing is that maybe he's slightly weaker, but how would I explain this character? He's like a weird character. Basically, he's really fast, yeah. So he's not really like the other forwards, right? He's more similar to like Rasmus and so on, right? He's actually kind of a fast, aggressive fighter. Yeah, Rasmus and him are probably the most similar characters. He's like a faster mid-fighter guy, right? Yeah, like a, not like X and Asher, like kind of bigger brawlers, right? He's more like I'm a ninja, I fire around. So it makes sense, he's a ninja, yeah, it makes sense. But he's much better than Rasmus, that's one thing that's clear. Because Rasmus is probably just trash and he's just the best. So the way he works is that he's kind of like, he has a dash and a double shoot dash. He's very quick, I guess, right? He can jump and so on. But so he can combo people out. That's one thing. Him and Juliette are similar, right? You know, him and Juliette also have similarities, yeah. He can kind of pinpoint someone and kind of double dash push them out, right? So that's very powerful when you want to just kill someone. The strength of Rasmus is that he's pretty fast, right? Usually, with dash one. So you can do this weird like combos to yourself, you know, like run up, hit the ball, get the ball back, get quick strike, score and so on. And Zentoro does the same thing. So he's good at that, like kind of I am running back and forth between defending and attacking. Yeah, usually when I play him, and I play them both in the same way, I suppose. But I play them with, you know, everything for agility, right? Everything's for agility. So I can like run back and forth between the sides. And that actually makes Rasmus playable, right? If you have the fast shoes and you run like this, right? Yeah, so I play him in the same way, right? And he just, I guess he's just better, right? He's just better at everything. He's just better doing it in every possible way, I suppose. Okay. But the biggest thing with him, and this is why I think people ban him all the time, his ultimate is really good. It is not the level of Asher, where her ultimate is completely bonkers, right? But his ultimate, Oni Slash, it is probably the second best ultimate in the game, right? So you can see how I rate it here on the tier list. But yeah, his ultimate, it is very, very powerful, guys. And I would argue say this day, I think it's important. Let me go over here, right, and do this thing, classic thing here. Talking about the game, right? Talking about the tier list. But seriously, yeah, I would say, right, that Oni Slash and Path Splitter are the two best ultimates, right? And they both kind of do the same thing. Path Splitter, it sends you an attack, right, and it basically always kills someone. It's very easy to kill the goaler with Asher, right? She's the best person to like delete someone with full health, right? Amazing ultimate. Zentoro's Oni Slash does a very similar thing, where it's the secondary best ability to knock someone out. However, he can't do it if they have full health, basically. But if they have low health, then it's the best ultimate, because they can just jump on someone and they can't avoid it, right? He's the only one that has like a guaranteed kill, basically, in certain, if they have certain health pool, right? And that's why I think that probably people ban Zentoro the most, because everyone knows he's a super annoying guy, because he's gonna run after you if you have no health, he's jumping to kill you. I mean, so they're both like super deleting you, right? And Zentoro arguably is the best ultimate. Yeah, Oni Slash is probably the most like guaranteed defeat, right? It's definitely also pretty easy though, to be honest. He's ranked as, I think, 3 stars difficulty, but arguably I think it's very easy to play, because you have to use, you know, have the ultimate and aim at them. Yeah, I think it's banned a lot because it's easy to use it, right, as well. Yeah, easy hit, easy to use it. But the best 2 ultimates, right, him and Asher, and yeah, he can just like delete you. He just jumps to you with the katana. Should I have my katana here? Where's my katana when I need it? Yeah, he basically jumps at you and you can't avoid it. It's just super broken. But like I said, I think that's the reason people ban him, you know, because people are so used to similar to X, right? You know, yeah, like even bad ninja guys can kill you because he can't miss with the ability. Alright, it's very good. Okay, let's go on the list. Juliette, probably somewhere here. I think she's similar, right, to Zentoro, as I said, right, and X, I guess, something. I mean, she's like also a forward brawler, right? She's also in this kind of category of I punch you in the face character. And similar to him, she combos and so on, right? She's of course terribly on defense. She's probably the worst character on defense in the game. X is probably worse, yeah, but like, she cannot stand in the goal. But whatever. I mean, you won't ever play as a goalie, but it still speaks though that she cannot defend at all. It's not very useful, right? When you have to defend, when to run back and so on. But what she does though, right, is that Juliette will just go after you and defeat you. Yeah, not very good at scoring either. I don't think her abilities really help you to score. And that's probably why I would rank her lower than X, because sometimes KOing someone is easier with Juliette than X. That is true. However, like I said in the beginning of the video, right, X, his ultimate makes you both hit the ball and them, and it opens up for an easy shoot, right? The strength of X isn't only that he can KO people very easily, which is still very true, but that he can also, like I mentioned in the beginning, kind of stun lock you while he also hitting the ball, right? I think the best upgrade for X is quick strike, so hit faster, right? Because you can do the hit fast, you hit the ball, and you hit them, and they get like stuck, and you hit the ball in, right? Because usually when I play X, and I said this is my best character right now, my best bias, but seriously, X is a very good character. And I think that, yeah, the reason why, as I said, is because you actually score a lot with X2, yeah. He's a very good guy to score with, you know, because it's so easy to score with him in Ultimate. As I mentioned right earlier, Zentoro with his weird slash thing, same thing, easy to score with too, because you can jump on the ball with that thing. Yeah, so you have like a guaranteed shot with the ball as well, right? Or a kill with it. So that's kind of where Juliette fails, because her abilities doesn't really add into your offensive attacks. I mean, against the ball, right? Yeah, doesn't really help you score. It has you to score because you defeat the opponent. Yeah, I mean, of course, you kill the goalkeeper, so it's easy to score now. But I mean, it's, you know what I mean. X doesn't have to kill them; you can just push them away, right? Easier. Same thing with Asher, right? With her path thing, it pushes them away. I can score now, right? Where I feel Juliette struggles more with that. I feel she's what I guess I would call binary from a not a non-binary sex thing, but you know, I am an engineer. I'm a game developer, right? As a trade back in the days, right? And for me, binary means that you have, you know, 1 or 0 is a code thing, right? You know, so she fits very binary. In the way that she's either she kills everyone or she does nothing. That's what I feel usually. Of course, it is a skill thing to some extent, But I think it also is a mashup thing. I think she has a very, very time she can struggle with defeating certain characters. For example, the Juliette I fit usually, kind of around the gold skill level, whatever Juliette is, right? They're very, very aggressive usually, and they go after you. So if I play like Rasmus or Zentoro, I can just kite them around. I go speed, right? So I can just kite them around, and they will try to kill me, and I just kind of keep running away from them, and nothing happens really, right? And you can say they're bad players, but just like X, you have to kind of fight with Juliette, right? So does nothing. And you can argue then that why doesn't Juliette just go for the goalkeeper instead? That's the thing, right? She can then instead attack the goalkeeper, that is true. But that's where X shines better, right? So X really shines standing on top of the goalkeeper. It's like, you know, being annoying for the whole fight, you know what I mean? And she isn't really as good at that, like literally fighting someone straight up, you know. Then she might just die instead of so on. She's better at like running into the mid guys and killing them, you know, on the sideline, right? But of course she can also attack the goalkeeper. So yeah, she struggles, I think, with fast midfielders. She's very good against, I guess, Estelle and Juno and yeah, these kind of mid-range Kai and so on. She struggles with the nimble agile mid guys. Because even if they're swishy, right, they can avoid her easier. So then she kind of does nothing. As long as you're aware of it, right? Of course, you have to be aware that she's coming after you. But you can, honestly, I think Juliette, this might be a matchup thing for me. Honestly, I admit that, but I think the Juliette are pretty easy to spot, you know, how they play the game. Most of them are very aggressive, and you kind of see that, and you kind of just kite them around, you know what I mean? But anyway, only few characters left, guys. I think Ara's pretty good. Cute witch girl. Yeah, her ultimate is very powerful. Holy shit, man. She's also an ultimate character, yeah. She's also a character that just gets a lot of kills with her ultimate. But that's kind of it, though. I think her ultimate is one of the best ability. It's probably the third best ability, yeah, after Asher and Zentoro. Her super annoying, yeah, Jesus Christ, but that sort of thing. It usually never kills me anymore, because I got used to it, and I learned how to use your evasion, your EDQ, right, to kind of time it. But it is certainly very often I see that my teammates just get crushed by that thing. It's so annoying, yeah. So she's a pretty good character, just not alone, right? Again, a high valuable ultimate is definitely it has value inherently, right? Similarly to the whole Aimi, Luna thing, right? She's a pretty good goalkeeper, because she can stand in the background, right, and throw her ultimate and just kill people anyway. Very similar to Aimi mostly, so that kind of works, right? And she can rage and so on. She got a buff, which is interesting, because her buff actually is pretty legit. And I almost say she's S tier if she's in the right team, though. Honestly, I think she's probably like B tier maybe. But I am assuming you're playing her with like X and so on, because that's just really good. Yeah. The thing is that she does this buff, right? They can have her team. And if your teams are brawlers, right? If your team is our power forward brawlers, that's just way better, because her buff is so helpful for your muscular beefcake guys, right? Yeah. So that's a thing you have to think about. She's probably probably the most character depending character. You know, like her ability to be good is probably, of course, because she's like the only people with the buff, right? Yeah. Well, I think that Atlas, as I put it in him high up too, is also truly a character. His ability to save you, right, is also more useful if you are playing as like a loose cannon, crazy person in the front, right? Yeah. So his also abilities are even better if you can really benefit from his save, right? So yeah, they're both high up there, and I feel they're. As a game developer, right, I would assume that the game's gonna add more character, like Atlas or whatever. They can have buff your team, right, or save them, or not save them, but some kind of supportive. Maybe I can make you guys, I don't know, stronger or faster or input, yeah, so on and so forth. Definitely, but she's somewhere up there, I think. And then they got Juno, slime waifu. Also, I think she's probably here. She's probably the best leader. Yeah, she's really annoying. I don't think she's S tier. I think she's also like a little noob friendly. When I started playing the game, I hated the face of her. But then you learn how the slime works, and then you're kind of like, okay, I see it now. I feel this list is accurate, man. But it's only trash, so that's definitely true, man. You gotta need a buff to the poor guy, man. But I think that Drek'kar is also probably trash, man. But he's like, whatever. Yeah, these 3 guys are all probably trash, honestly. Juno then, lastly. Even though I think, when I started playing the game, the first 2-3 days, I would have her in S tier. I would have been like, oh my god, she's so annoying. She drops her freaking slimes in the ball fight. Oh, it's so annoying. But you really do learn how to predict how the slime will make it fly, right? It's pretty obvious how the slime will move them eventually. And what I mean by that is that in the beginning she feels very random, you know what I mean? Her slime is everywhere and it makes the ball turn around and you get all like, oh my god, it's so imba, I can't defend this thing, right? But yeah, you learn how her slime will control the ball or whatever, and then you can defend, you know what I mean? So that weakens her severely. It takes a little bit of experience to defend it. But even if you know how it's gonna fly, you know, she's still a really good character because she's probably has the best ability, right? To kind of diverge the path, the trajectory of the shots, yeah, because she can shoot out her slimes, you know what I mean? Either the shot thing or the ball thing, or jump, but usually it's either the projectile or the ultimate, right? And it can really alter how the ball flies. The slime moves slightly, right? So depending on the situation, you can shoot up. Basically, let me say that this thing. It's not actually her shot, right, that is hard to defend against. It's like usually it's the goalie, right? They will launch the ball, and the ball will fly into one of the slimes. Then it suddenly turns around, you know, in a very different, yeah. It goes boom like that. You're like, what? Yeah, and it's very hard for the goalie to be like, it's coming there now, right? Still though, even if you can predict it correctly and know where it's gonna fly, it still can really move again. You know how the ball can move rapidly to the other side, right? And also, if you're a good player and you can see that, right, you can also utilize her balls as, like, if I'm her ally, right, I can hit the ball into the slimes on purpose and then throw it at the enemy, right, just to get it away. So you can really help the goalie. That's why I had an older video, I put her not as a goalie, but as a midfielder, right, because her attacks are really useful for the goalie to kind of pass, basically, to her slime and then pass the ball again to her, right, or to the goal. So you can really utilize that way, and also as the forward, as the power forward, as Asher or X or whatever, right? When you're trying to score, same thing there. She can ultimate next to you, and you can shoot it into her slime, right? And you can pass it in. So she's very, very good at like helping either the defender or the attacker to kind of diverge how you aim, basically, right? And that's basically not unique for her, because Rasmus can do the same thing. But it's basically only those 2 guys that can really utilize that. And I guess Fat Guy can also throw his thing, but not very, in offense, not really. But it also proves to you how much I hate Rasmus. No, but seriously, that also shows to you how bad Rasmus is. Because Rasmus' ability, his ultimate, is basically the same value as one of her slimes. Like, yeah, her slime and Rasmus' ability, his skitcher flying out there, they basically fulfill the same thing, right? Like it diverges, it redirects the ball into a better, sometimes with Rasmus, positioning. And they do the same thing, yeah. Basically, they cover up an area and then they redirect it, right? It is true, of course, that Rasmus actually aims at himself, which at sometimes is better, right? But as I said earlier, is also sometimes really shitty. Yeah, so her ability, her slimes, they basically always push the ball forward, basically, is better, you know, because in most situations it's more useful than being able to get the ball to yourself if you're standing in the wrong positioning, right? But really, Rasmus is terrible. He's really terrible. Like, he's fast. He's much bad he is. No, but he's so bad, right? Because, like I said earlier, his ultimate only works if you're in the right positioning, right? Which sounds like, oh, you're a noob. No, but I mean, you have to be in the right position. And even if you're a very good player, and I mean genuinely, he's like the character I want to be good at, you know what I mean? And I want to play him. And I think that I am actually a really good player with his character, because I always play the Sitcher guy, right? I am like the best player in Guilty Gear, man. I'm extra low. I'm like the pro extra low, man. I'm Angel extra low, okay? I know how to play a goddamn guy with a Sitcher, okay? This is my thing, right? So I played him a lot, and I'm just like, I really mean it. It is one thing that I'm certain on, is that he's the worst character. But if there's anything I can say, you guys, is that I have played this game now, right? And I main Rasmus, and I hate playing him. I mean, like, I have played him so much, and you just can't make it work, okay? If I change character, I will always perform better, because he's just a terrible character. And you might just say I'm salty. No, but you know, I mean, he's terrible because I'm just comparing him and Juno, right? And when you attack with Juno, right, I'm gonna score now. My ally, like let's say Asher, she's pushing the ball into their corner, right? She's pushing the ball into the goal. Now, as you know, I can drop my ultimate, right? It's gonna help her to control the ball or get a goal or whatever, or at least slow them down because the slimes are in the way or whatever. So it's gonna help her immensely. Right? If I'm playing Rasmus and she's in the corner fighting out the ball, open goal, and I throw my ultimate, it does nothing, right? It's just like, oh, I pulled one of them out. And he also does low damage. I pulled one out and it does like 10 damage, right? It does so little, right? Of course, I said earlier, in best case scenario, I hit the ball and the ball comes to me and I can score, right? But that is very, very unlikely to happen if they can play the game. And Juno's slime, the several slime instead, are much more likely to push the ball in the right direction, right? This is how it is, right? And again, like I said earlier, he's only useful. Basically, it's like, oh, the ball is behind me, very far from me. No, I throw my ultimate, right? Where, of course, in her case, same thing. The ball is behind me. I do my ultimate. The slimes will not push the ball in my direction anyway. Probably, right? Thing is that Juno slimes are basically passing her anyway if she's in front of the slimes, right, with the ball. And not always, but basically they pass her anyway. So it's kind of like she can also pass the ball to herself. Right, with her slimes, her 3 different abilities. It's just much better than his abilities, yeah. And then also last this thing, I haven't talked about this, but how to say it? Juno usually specs, right, for of course creation stuff, right? And that makes her slimes better, right? To get size, to get more power and so on. Rasmus, his summoning ability is only his ultimate, so you also can spec to improve the ultimate. That's a big thing too as well, right? Because Rasmus is this kind of mid-range fast character, you spec him usually for agility, maybe power, but usually agility. And it means that his ultimate will stay in the same shitty ultimate, right? Where you spec her for creation stuff, building stuff, and that improves all her abilities, including her ultimate. You know what I mean? That also makes her a much better character. I think that's actually a big bad issue in the whole game. I'll say it last in the video, right? I think that is a straight up issue in the game, honestly. That the characters that can also spec for one thing are probably likely better, right? So I look at X, right? He can spec for power. It's gonna be pretty good. Asher, power. Zentoro, agility or power, but usually agility. Atlas, defense, right? Yeah, and you know those two guys spec for long range projectiles. Yeah, both Aimi and Rune can spec for, like, you know, I'm throwing my rocket and do, you know, double projectile speed, whatever. Yeah. Very good with that. Like Juno can spec for building stuff, right? You know, and so on. She can spec also for, of course, projectile and for punching. But Rasmus, honestly, is one of the few characters that has a little bit of construction, a little bit of speed, a little bit of strength. Yeah, he's kind of like shit at everything. Yeah, and no matter how you spec him, you basically get you get a midi. Honestly, that's a good example why he sucks, because no matter how you build him, he's never gonna be the best at anything, because you kinda all his abilities are very different. Yeah, one of them is a power ability, one of them is like agility, one of them is construction. That is a big flaw of his character. And I mean, I understand the game, of course, from a game design standpoint, the game does have to include characters that combine different mechanics, right? Of course, but it's pretty clear to me that yeah, if you have a hero that is, again, then based among a sub, you know, mixture of mechanics, that hero will probably be harder. Not harder to play, but be weaker, right? Because no matter how you spec them, yeah, they're gonna be stuck with like, oh, I'm kinda strong now, I'm kinda powerful. It's much easier playing X. It's be like full power or full tank. Yeah, full power tank spec is easier, right? Whatever you get in the, you know, pick a perk thing, pick an awakening, it's gonna be better, right? It's gonna be better. And I guess Rune is also probably a reason why he's weak too. Yeah, because Rune is like, I usually spec him, you know, for construction. I think most people play him like they play Juno, right? They get, you know, construction stuff. But of course, he doesn't have as much construction as she has, right? He got 2, she got 3 abilities. So that's a good example, right? Yes, he's a little more AD than her, but he also got a lot of like build stuff, right? But she got again 3 building stuff, he got 2 building stuff, right? So it's gonna be better having 3 building stuff probably, because everything you take is gonna be better, right? Then he's like, I guess I'm still fine. So yeah, actually I hope you guys like the video here. Hope you guys subscribe, put like button and so on. But honestly, leave a comment below what you guys think about my last idea there. I think that actually is very, very forthcoming, right? When I think about it, that yeah, the characters that are, you know, let me just phrase it very, yeah, let me just summarize it. I don't know, I feel I'm hitting like a genius spot here, guys. I feel I'm hitting the genius spot here, right? But I think it's very true. Let me summarize it last here and again. Please subscribe to Zentoro, but it's very, very true. That every character, really every character in Omega Strikers that is not focused on one thing, right, are probably gonna be weaker, because Juno, for example, has 3 construct abilities. So you pick and are waiting for her, it's always useful abilities. Rune has 2 construct, 1 agility, so he's harder to kind of spec, right, and you can never be good at anything. Rasmus, which is utter trash character, same thing, he has 1 offense, 1 agility, and 1 build ability, right? So no matter how you pick your perks, your awakening, your spark thing, he's never gonna be very good, because you can only like improve 1 ability, kind of like that, right? X, you know, very powerful character. What can he do? He's like a freaking brawler. You only pick either power or you pick tank, right? And it also works because everything is kind of the same thing, you know, and so on, right? I think that the game naturally, the characters that are good in the game are characters that naturally basically only do one thing, right? Honestly, because it means that any awakening you take improves that one thing. Again, then Juno is probably the best example, where she mastered the benefits, right, from the different construction buffs, right? Oh, my size are bigger, my slimes are lasting longer, and so on. That buffs all abilities, right? Where, for example, the other character, they buff like 1, 2 abilities. So that's probably a huge reason why some characters are pretty shit. Anyway, guys, that's all the video. Subscribe, slap button. What do you guys think? Is this correct? This is obviously the greatest tier list ever. It doesn't really matter. I feel too much up in the top, right? I don't feel this part here matters too much, you know, like where these guys are. Like whatever. It's more this thing, right? Rasmus is terrible. He needs a buff. I don't understand people's love for Kai. I really don't, honestly. I don't care if the best player in the world plays Kai. I don't understand why Kai is. He's just kind of good at everything, but he's not very good at everything. I think he's just, I don't know, he's mid. I think he's mid. He's just too mid for me. I don't know. I just really struggle with seeing what he does when we are offensive, right? And this is, I think, pretty true. Yeah, these guys are pretty weird. He's so gimmicky. Yeah, Drek'kar is like, haha, I stealth kill you, you noob. Only works against bad players, basically. Yeah, I have almost never struggled with any. I can see the thing. Lastly, I suppose this is true for every character, I guess. You know, I play the game a lot now, right? The last days, last week, and so on. And I played against some really good players, I feel, right? But it is true that I never really seen, like once or twice have I seen a really good Drek'kar. So, to be fair, maybe I just never really experienced a good stealth killer. But I feel so obvious. Even the guys that I felt was really good, how they were very aggressive with him and how they timed it perfectly. Even those guys, it's so obvious. What else can he do? You know, he stealths away from you, he tries to kill you. Come on, you know what's gonna happen. So, I don't know. I just don't see it. Nice and see it. But we're certainly gonna have probably other stealth kind of game coming further. But anyway, guys, you guys can have a great day.